Hello, dear listeners. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here today. Take a deep breath, relax, and prepare to join me on a story. Not just any story. This one is about love, discovery, and learning. About two people who found more than words in a foreign city. And about how English became the bridge between their hearts. Her name was Lila, and his name was Ethan. They met in Paris. Not at a cafe or a famous monument, but in a tiny bookstore tucked into a narrow street near Montmartre. Lila was searching for a book in English to improve her language skills. Ethan was there for the same reason. The air smelled of old paper, coffee, and possibilities. They reached for the same book, their hands brushing for a brief moment. "Oh, I'm sorry," Lila whispered softly. "No, it's okay," Ethan replied, curiosity lighting his calm voice. And just like that, a conversation started. At first, it was broken English. Hesitant sentences. "I like this book," or "Do you know this author?" But the smiles, the warmth, and the curiosity made every pause feel natural, even exciting. Over the next few weeks, they met almost every day in that bookstore. Sometimes to exchange just a few sentences, sometimes to sit together and practice reading aloud. Lila was learning English faster than she expected, because she had someone who made the words alive. Ethan improved too, but the language was just a part of something bigger. The connection between them. One day, Lila arrived with excitement and fear shining in her eyes. I bought tickets," she said nervously. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Tickets? For what?" "To the English theater. Tonight. A play in English. I want to try listening." Ethan smiled, proud but slightly anxious. This was their first real challenge together. Listening, understanding, and experiencing English in its natural form. At the theater, they sat in the dim light. The actors spoke fast, sometimes too fast, but Lila held Ethan's hand and whispered, "I understand some words." With every word she understood, her confidence grew. Ethan noticed her joy and realized this was more than just language. It was courage, trust, and a shared dream. Days turned into weeks, and small moments became a story in themselves. They explored Paris while speaking English to each other, pretending it was their only language. In cafes at the Louvre, on quiet bridges over the Seine, they practiced, laughed, and sometimes stumbled. Misunderstandings happened, of course. Sometimes Ethan mispronounced a word, Lila corrected him gently, and they laughed. Sometimes Lila misunderstood, but Ethan patiently repeated until the meaning came through. Every mistake became a lesson. Every lesson became a memory. One rainy afternoon, they found shelter under a small awning. Lila shivered, and Ethan draped his scarf over her shoulders. You are improving," Ethan said. I am trying," Lila smiled. "But you understand me even when I make mistakes." That was the magic. Learning English together, speaking imperfectly, but meaning perfectly. One evening, by the river, Lila pulled out a notebook. "I wrote something," she said nervously. Ethan leaned in, curious. "It's in English," she said. I want you to read it." He took the notebook and read aloud. "I never thought learning English could be like this. Not just words, not just books, but laughter, warmth, and someone who waits for your every sentence. I love the mistakes we make, because they teach me more than the perfect sentences. I love you, even if the English isn't perfect." Ethan looked at her, speechless. Then whispered, almost trembling, I feel the same." The next months were magical. They attended English classes together, read novels, and even wrote short stories. But more than the language, they were building their own story, a story in English and in life. Challenges came too. Misunderstandings outside their safe little world. Family worries. Time pressures. The fear that maybe love or language wouldn't last. But each challenge strengthened their connection, improved their English, and built their patience. They learned that language is more than grammar. It's empathy, understanding, and connection. Every word carried emotion. Every sentence built trust. Every conversation was a step closer, not just to fluency, but to each other. One day, Ethan surprised Lila with a picnic near the Eiffel Tower. A small blanket, sandwiches, and a notebook. "I wrote something for you," he said. Lila opened it and read aloud. Learning English with you is the most beautiful journey. We started with small words, hesitant sentences, and now every conversation, every laugh, every story feels like a world we own together. Thank you for teaching me, for loving me, and for making every mistake meaningful. They laughed, cried, and hugged. And yes, they practiced English too, making small corrections, repeating sentences, learning together. But the heart of the story was not the language, it was the connection it created. Months later, they realized something amazing. English was no longer a challenge. It was part of life, part of love. The city, the books, the cafes, they all became memories. Memories in English and in feeling. They could speak, laugh, and dream in English. And through every word, they remembered the early days in the bookstore, the nervous first sentences, the small victories, the tiny steps toward fluency, and toward each other. So if you are learning English, remember this. It's okay to start slow. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to feel nervous. But if you love the language, if you connect it to something meaningful, it becomes more than a subject. It becomes a story. Your story. A story you live, breathe, and share. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope it inspired you, made you smile, and reminded you that learning English can be beautiful, personal, and emotional. If you enjoyed this story, like this video to show your support. Comment below your favorite part, or share a story of your own English journey. And don't forget to subscribe to stay connected for more stories, lessons, and journeys through English. Remember, every word you speak, every sentence you write, every story you share, brings you closer to fluency. And maybe, just maybe, it will connect you to someone unforgettable, like Ethan and Lila. Thank you, and see you in the next story.